What have you been doing this week? Have you been doing at least 5 minutes of fitness every day? Please keep at it. I'm Carol O'Halloran and welcome to Over 50 So What? There's many of us over 50 who are single, and on the show we've looked at dating online and also live music and events like Steppin Out, Life's a Ball, where a single person can go to enjoy music and dancing. We continue chatting today with Brian on internet dating and meeting a date face to face. After the fun 5-minute fitness activity, we're going to look at some water activities. Over 50, over 60, over 70. We meet some happy campers doing things on and in the water. Because there'll be many of you watching who are now single. You might have been married for 20, 30 plus years, and now you find yourself single and on your own. You don't know how to date, you don't know what to do, how to do it. And so we're going to try and navigate our way through some of the things as a single person over 50 or over 60. And we have a chat today with Brian Richmond, who, having been single for 12 years, is going to share his tips and strategies for maximising your success in the dating scene. Hi Brian, great to have you on Over 50 So What?
Great to be on the show, Carol.
So now we've sent that message, I like your profile, and then they've responded back, yes, I find your profile interesting as well. And then you start the conversation, I see you're interested in skiing or, going to the library or whatever it is, and you start this conversation. So you start talking to each other. And then what do you do, Brian?
What I would simply do is, for me, after a couple of texts, I would say, look, we do seem to have a lot in common. I'd love to chat to you over the phone and see if it will take us to perhaps a potential coffee or even a glass of wine. Then I would send my phone number. If the texting has gone okay, there's usually a positive response there.
What do you suggest for talking to someone for the first time on the phone?
Lots of people are quite nervous about that. That's what I feel when I talk to other people, particularly ladies who are a little bit nervous about that. To me, it's never been a nervous thing. It's an exciting thing for me. It's meeting or interacting with a new person. And for me, I've always found it interesting to find out about the person I'm talking to. And that is, as I mentioned before, asking questions. Well, obviously, we've contacted that person because we've got something similar. So let's start off with the conversation would start with the things that we've got in common.
So you send your number and then the lady will ring your number and you start talking on the phone?
Yes.
Okay, so let's say you're chatting on the phone a bit and you seem to be getting on well on the phone. What's the next step?
Well, the next step, of course, is it's lovely chatting to you, Carol. Let's catch up for coffee. Let's catch up at a place that will suit both of us. It could be somewhere. There's lots and lots of nice cafes, particularly in Melbourne, where you can catch up and you both agree to a time that both suits, and you go from there.
So I believe you think that men need to listen more rather than just talk about themselves. Can you expand on that?
Guys are normally very competitive, and that's the way guys are. That's the way we're brought up since we've been little kids, to compete. And I think what happens out there is that guys generally think by telling the lady what he's got, how much he earns, what he owns, whatever will win the lady. And they end up controlling the conversation. So at the end of the conversation, she knows all about him. He knows nothing about her. I think the general rule of thumb is that guys learn to become listeners.
Getting back to the internet side, how do you know if someone is a real person? There's been multiple stories on the media of scammers and people taking advantage on males and females. So what things from your perspective, what things should people be wary of?
Well, usually a scammer when they first contact you, the emails or the texts will be usually quite often they'll want to get you off the site. So they'll want your email address to get you off the site. That's quite often a little red light. And the fact that they won't talk over the phone, that's not, so basically what happens, getting back to setting this phone number again, what that conveys, I've found for me, is I'm very open. I'm not hiding anything. I'm not after someone's email address. Here I am, and I'm willing to talk to you on the phone. I haven't got a Russian or an African accent. I'm an Australian, and the other person, I'm giving the person on the other end the chance to, to experience that. That's been my thinking, but certainly not to get involved with prolonged texting. Scammers love texting because that's what they do. They love creating a picture by the prose they write. Scammers love that. They come up with these crazy stories, and that's quite often what happens. So they'll paint a picture by endless texting, and then they'll do the best to get you off the site.
Well, from my perspective, alarm bells go off straight away when these people try and connect with me and they're in another country. They could be, they say they're in another country. They're in America, they're in Africa, they're in Europe, they're in whatever. So you've got these random people trying to contact you, and that's immediately sets off alarm bells. And I've seen many multiple media stories, in fact even one today, of people who have been approached by groups of professional scammers in other countries.
I've met people where that's happened to. Exactly. The reality is something like that, even if someone was legitimate, what's the chances of that working out anyway? Look, you're better off meeting people that are in your own city, in your own backyard. Not necessarily, but most of the scamming is done from overseas.
All right, to finish off with today, we're going to just recap, the do's and don'ts for your profile. So do you want to run through the top things to do for your profile?
Okay. Number one, have a recent photo. We covered that one, didn't we? Perhaps doing some of the things you enjoy. This is me on the slopes. This is me, whatever. And perhaps a photo wearing something pretty spiffy, something that you're comfortable in. Perhaps a series of photos. The other thing was that the profile that you write tells a little bit about you, but not too deep. It doesn't have to be, and it doesn't have to be a book that you're writing, about your interests, maybe the sort of work you do. And of course, not to have, it's the photo of you. You haven't got other family members. I mean, I've come across profiles where there's two people in the photo and you don't know who the profile is about. It's important to, when you are interacting with someone else, to listen to the other person and ask questions.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Brian.
Pleasure. We've got people thinking perhaps anyway.
Yeah. Thanks for watching our TV show. Be sure to hit subscribe and then you'll never miss an episode. Jump on Facebook, join our group, get in on the fun, fitness, wellness and inspiration. I'm Carol, over 50. So what?